Okay, so hello and welcome everybody, and welcome to this week's EllAstrology live stream. So in this live stream, I'm going to be talking about astrology, and I will be talking about the different ages and the evolution of astrology. Now, before we get started, I just want to let you guys know my neighborhood's been a little bit noisy lately. There's kids playing soccer outside, and there's just all kinds of crazy stuff happening. So I'm really sorry if it's a little bit noisy during this live stream. Also, my dogs also tend to bark a lot, so just excuse them. So basically, I'm just going to first explain to you guys what I mean by the ages and the evolution of astrology. Now, as you guys know, there are 12 signs in the zodiac, and it starts with Aries and it ends off at Pisces. Now, if you follow the story of astrology and you follow the mythology of it and the symbolism behind it, you will come to find that it starts with Aries, and the signs mature and grow all the way throughout until it ends off by Pisces. Now, basically, I'm going to explain to you guys what this all means and what the age of each sign is and how each sign basically evolves and learns from the previous sign and that kind of thing. So the first sign I'll be starting out with will obviously be Aries. And Aries is known to be, you know, the birth. Aries is the baby. It is basically life when it gets born into this world, you know, initially. It's basically the first, you know, moment of birth, and it's the first breath you take at birth. Now, along with Aries, you know, comes the qualities of being curious, of taking basically, you know, lots of information in from their surrounding and being very self-aware and that kind of thing. Now, that is basically why Aries have these traits, because they're a lot like babies and they're very fresh souls. So they're very inquisitive, they're very curious, they're basically checking everything out around them. And yeah, they basically are just in a stage where they are developing their self-awareness. Okay, so the next sign I'm going to talk about obviously is Taurus. Now, after Aries, you know, comes Taurus. Now, when I talk about Taurus, I basically I'm talking about the life cycle of the toddler. So it's not the fresh newborn baby anymore. It's now when, you know, the baby starts crawling around and starts becoming a little bit more aware of its surroundings. So I don't know if you guys have any kids or if you guys have actually, you know, been around any kids, but kids are very, you know, curious about, okay, there comes the noisiness. Kids are very curious about their surroundings and especially the material objects around them. So they tend to pick up the material objects around them and they investigate it, they look at it, they check it out. A lot of them will kind of like, you know, hold on to these material objects. A lot of them will throw tantrums when you try and take it away from them. Now, a lot can kind of be interpreted into Taurus and how Taurus people, you know, they're very, very aware of the material objects around them, and they're very aware of, you know, the things that they're acquiring, and they're basically aware of their possessions and acquiring these possessions. Now, yeah, that is basically how, you know, the life cycle of Taurus comes into play, as well as all the different characteristics that goes along with it. During this time, they also, you know, develop the sense of ownership of, you know, material objects. So this is when, you know, you develop the sense that this is mine and that is yours, and you can actually separate, you know, the different material objects from the owners and that kind of thing. Now, yeah, that's basically how Taurus goes in with the evolution and the ages of the zodiac. So the next life cycle I'm going to talk about is Gemini. And basically, Gemini is the life cycle of basically the preschooler. So that is basically when the toddler, you know, grows up and starts, you know, starting to kind of become a little bit more, how do I say, smart, or they're able to process information a little bit more, because yeah, you know, toddlers are a bit more not able to process things, but yeah, like they are very aware of their surroundings. Now, Gemini is basically when the toddler evolves into the preschooler, and when the preschooler starts to engage in the different activities around them, they start to, you know, learn different things from the people around them, and they start to take it in, and they also show it to the people around them. I know a lot of you know that at this age, this would be about the age of, say, 3, 4, 5 years old, 6 years old. This is also an age where a child is the most, you know, vulnerable to its surroundings, and it basically takes in everything around it, and it takes in everything everyone says around it and everything you teach to it. Now, a lot can be said about Gemini like this. So they're a lot like, you know, this age group, where they basically take everything in around them, they learn everything, and they basically reinterpret what they learn to the people around them. And yeah, they're very inquisitive at this age, and they're also engaging in lots of different activities, like they're playing around, you know, they're doing artistic things, and they're just like trying new things in life and just basically exploring their senses. Now, yeah, that's basically how Gemini is, and you know, a lot can be said about Gemini when you look at how this specific age group interacts and reacts and that kind of thing. Okay, this is also the time where they, you know, develop their skills and their hobbies and that kind of thing. So they start like looking into things that they're interested in, and they actually start, you know, building on skills. A lot of kids will start, you know, reading and writing at this age, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's an interesting age, and it's basically got a lot to do with learning and developing and that kind of thing. So the next sign I'm gonna talk about is Cancer, and how Cancer, you know, the age of Cancer and how it evolves from Gemini. Now, Cancer is basically the child, so it's not the preschooler anymore. It's basically when the preschooler has grown up and it becomes the child. So this would be the age of, say, about 7 to 11 or 12 years old. Now, this is the age where the individual starts developing, you know, their own sense of self, their sense of their own authority, kind of, you know, so where children are, for example, very, you know, they adapt to the beliefs and opinions of the people around them. The Cancer age is where they actually start, you know, realizing that they've got their own opinion and people's opinions are separate from theirs. This is also the age where they start developing emotions, and they start trying to figure out, you know, what are these emotions I'm feeling, and they try and actually control the emotions. Now, yeah, a lot can be said, you know, about Cancer if you look at this age, because these people, they're very, very self-aware. They're very aware of how they are different from everybody around them. And they're also just very, very aware of their emotions, just like basically children in that age group are. Okay, the next sign that basically comes after Cancer is Leo. And Leo will basically be the teenager. Now, it's basically when the child develops from, you know, that innocent kind of life cycle of being a child, and it kind of starts developing into the more rebellious side, which is the teenager. Now, at this time, when they're a teenager, this is when they start, you know, building their own social structure, and they really start, you know, believing in their own beliefs, and they build their own belief system and this kind of thing. And they start to make friends, and they start to kind of build an identity for themselves. So at this age, it's when they really, really are aware of, you know, the identity that they portray to the world. And they're just very, very aware, you know, of how they socialize, their social standing, and just basically who they are. So it's very different from Cancer, where Cancer is kind of trying to evolve these things and trying to understand these things. The Leo has obviously already, evolved these things, and they're starting to implement these things into their daily lives. So they're actually starting to, socialize, go out, kind of build like a reputation for themselves, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's how you can kind of say that Leo is kind of, in this age group, which would basically be the teenager age group, which is about 13 to 18 years old. Cool. So basically, the star sign that's, Virgo, the age that Virgo is would basically be the young adult. So it's basically when they have evolved from a teenager and they kind of, start realizing that they need to be a bit more responsible, they need to start working, they need to start building a structure, and they've kind of already, built their social standing and kind of built an identity for themselves. Now, at this point, of their life, I always say that Virgos are like people who have, a parent in the back of their mind, because this is the kind of life cycle that's in the middle. So you're not in the beginning where Aries is, and you're not the end where Pisces is. You're literally in the middle of the zodiac. So the reason why I say these people have like a parent in the back of their minds is because they kind of, want to explore the world and, expand their senses like the more younger parts of the zodiac would, which would obviously be from Aries to Leo. Now, Virgo wants to do that. However, they're starting to realize the more mundane, everyday tasks of life. They're starting to realize the responsibility that comes along with life. And they're kind of being tugged into, the more mature side of the zodiac, which would obviously be from Libra to Pisces. Now, basically, Virgos, they've got this parent, in the back of their heads, because one part of them is telling them, oh, let's be free, let's have fun. But the other part of them is telling them, oh, you need to be responsible, you need to work, you need to, stick to your routine and that kind of thing. Now, this is basically where Virgos are at, and this is basically, where young adults are at in their life. So yeah, it's a very interesting placement. It's definitely, in the middle ground of, the ages. And yeah, so after Virgo, it basically evolves into Libra, which is your early 20s. Now, from, the young adult life, and where you start realizing, okay, you've got responsibilities, you've got things you need to, pay attention to, that kind of thing. Then you evolve into the early 20s, and this is usually where most people find, their lover. This is where most people start really developing friendships with people. You could say this is the age of socialization, building relationships, and interacting with people, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's basically, the age where Libra's at. And also, a lot of people end up getting married at this age just because they build commitments with people, and they just really, like I said, this is where they're building their relationships and the foundation for the people that they are going to have with them throughout the rest of their lives. Okay, so Scorpio is basically, the life cycle of late 20s, basically I would say your early 30s. So this is when, you've kind of built your relationships, you've started working, you're starting to, build, how do I say, wealth, you're starting to build social status. Yeah, so it's also this point where, you will kind of start letting go of the more, how do I say, irresponsible, childish kind of things in life. So you start focusing more on the actual important things in life, like the people that are important, the relationships that are important. Usually people that are Scorpio, they say that they, they're very mysterious, they're very deep, they're kind of closed off, but it's usually, if you try and interpret it into a life cycle or an age like I am now, Scorpio people, they, like I said, they kind of experienced, a lot of things prior. So they've experienced, all the signs before they are now, and they've experienced lots of, like, how do I say, bullshit and lots of drama, and they're kind of at a point now in their life where they just push that away and they just start focusing on what's really important. So yeah, that's basically the Scorpio life cycle. So the next one is obviously Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is people that would be in their late 30s, early 40s. Now, this is basically where, like I said, with Scorpio, people, they start realizing what's important, and they start disregarding the things that aren't important. They stop paying attention to superficial things. Now, basically, Sagittarius really starts implementing this, and they really just start focusing on the really, really important things. So they take their knowledge and what they've learned, and they kind of, further it. So they'll basically, people that are Sagittarians, I always say they've got really, really open minds, and they've got a very, very big capacity to learn, because they've got a very neutral standing and a neutral understanding, So what I mean by that is they don't kind of judge, when they look at something. They kind of see the truth in it, and they accept the truth in it. And, people that I would say who are at this, stage of their life, in the early 40s, they don't try and sugarcoat things. They kind of see things for what they are and that kind of thing. So yeah, that would basically be the life cycle of Sagittarius. Okay, so the next one I'm going to go on to is Capricorn. So Capricorn is the late 40s, and this is basically, the age group of people that are earning money, that are, the CEOs and directors of companies. They've developed businesses, they've developed things throughout their lives. So they were Sagittarius, they were Scorpio, they were Libra, Virgo already. They've already built their foundations, they've already gone through, all the trials and errors that they need to go through to get where they are. Now, this is Capricorn. Now, these are obviously, the hard workers, like I said, and they're the people that have basically manifested all their hard work, and they are reaping, the benefits of their hard work. They seeing, everything that they did throughout their life, and they're getting benefits from it. So yeah, like I said, people at this age, they should usually be earning, the higher salaries out of, the previous age groups, because they've got the most experience and that kind of thing. And yeah, that would basically, go along with Capricorn and the age group that Capricorn is, because these people, they've experienced a lot, they've learned a lot, and now they're actually able to build, wealth, social status, and just, a really, really good life from it. So now I'm going to go on to the last two signs, which is Aquarius and Pisces. Now, Aquarius is basically the person at, I say Aquarian people are like elderly people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I kind of mean that, what I say by that is they're very wise people. So they've basically gone through most of the life cycles of all the signs. They've, experienced everything. They've built all their wealth. They've built all their finances, their social standings. They've basically sorted all that out already. So they're now basically at a point where they can just relax, and they can basically just enjoy themselves. Now, if you guys, some of you guys might even be at this age group. So this age group would basically be, I would say from, 60 onwards. or if you guys have, you know, been around your grandparents or that kind of thing, you guys will realize that, you know, your grandparents don't really care much about, you know, material things or material kind of wealth, that kind of thing. They kind of care a lot about the people in their life, and they realize that what's really important in their life is family and the people that they love and your interactions with people and that kind of thing. Now, yeah, Aquarians are a lot like that, I think. They kind of see, you know, the people in their life as more important than, you know, material objects or material attachments or that kind of thing. And yeah, that's basically just the life cycle that they're at, you know, because they kind of, you know, they've gone through all the drama and all the bullshit in life where they've kind of had to work hard and they had to form attachments and form bonds with material things and just, you know, careers and that kind of thing. And they're at a point now where they're kind of just over it, and all they really want to do is just enjoy their friendships and their relationships with the people around them. Now, yeah, I can definitely say Aquarius people are like that. They are people that really value, you know, friendships, and they value people that are around them. Okay, and then the last sign I'm going to be talking about will be Pisces, and Pisces is the last sign in the entire cycle of the zodiac, so I've basically covered it from Aries all the way through to Pisces. Now, it can be said that Pisces is the oldest soul in the zodiac. Because they've basically already experienced, you know, all the previous signs, all the trials and all the issues and lessons that come along with all the previous signs in the zodiac. So they've basically got all this wisdom with them, you know, they've got all this knowledge. And basically the age that Pisces is at is when the soul actually leaves the body. So Pisces doesn't have an age. Oh, sorry, my dogs are barking. Pisces doesn't have an age. Pisces is basically the soul, you know. It's basically when you realize that the soul and the physical world are separate, and that is, you know, the age that Pisces is at. It's basically, these people are very spiritual people, they're very aware people, they've got lots of knowledge, and they've almost got like a deeper understanding of life. And yeah, that's basically why, because they've experienced all the previous lives of all the previous signs around them. Now, just a little interesting add-on to this that I just want to add into this video. So I don't know if some of you guys know that Pisces is the sign that is associated with religion, especially Christianity and God and that kind of thing. Now, the reason for that would obviously be because, you know, it is the sign of the soul. It's the sign of, you know, kind of this thing that is unknown that religions kind of try and explain and religions try and figure out and that kind of thing. That's why it's usually associated with religion and that kind of thing as well. So yeah, some Pisces people, they can also be very, very religious people, you know, because they've got a very, very deep belief and a very, very deep connection with something. Okay, great guys. So definitely like my Facebook page if you guys want to see some more astrology content, some more astrology posts and videos. I basically post content daily. So you guys will find the link in the description of this video. It's called EllAstrology. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a lovely day further. See you guys next time.